The morning sun filtered through the stained glass windows of St. Mary's Cathedral, casting rainbow patterns across the wooden pews. Emma Matthews stood at the altar in her grandmother's vintage wedding dress, her heart pounding against her ribs, like a caged bird. The church was filled with familiar faces, all watching her with curious expressions, but the man standing beside her was not the one she had planned to marry. 3 days earlier, Emma's world had crumbled. Her fiancé, Richard Blackwood, had called off their engagement in a cold, calculating manner that left her breathless. "The merger won't work," he had said over the phone, his voice distant and businesslike. "Father thinks it's better if we cancel everything." Emma had stared at her phone in disbelief. Their relationship had been arranged by their families, two wealthy dynasties joining forces. She had grown fond of Richard over the months, even believed she might love him someday. But apparently love had nothing to do with it. The wedding venue was booked, the flowers were ordered, the guests had received their invitations. Emma's father, a man who valued reputation above all else, was furious about the potential scandal. "We cannot cancel now," he had declared. "The humiliation would be unbearable." That's when Emma made the most impulsive decision of her carefully planned life. She had been sitting in the small cafe near the cathedral, drowning her sorrows in coffee and contemplating her future, when she noticed him. The man at the corner table had been reading a worn paperback book, his fingers gentle as he turned each page. His clothes were simple, a faded denim jacket, dark jeans, and boots that had seen better days. His hair was longer than fashionable, falling softly around his face. When their eyes met, Emma felt something she had never experienced with Richard, a flutter of genuine attraction. "Excuse me," she had said, approaching his table with trembling hands. "This might sound completely insane, but would you be willing to marry me?" The man, who introduced himself as James Sullivan, had looked up from his book with the most beautiful green eyes Emma had ever seen. Instead of laughing or running away, he had studied her face with quiet intensity. "You're serious," he had said softly, "dead serious. I know it's crazy, but I need a husband by Saturday, and you seem ... kind." James had closed his book slowly. "What's in it for me?" "Money, enough to solve whatever problems you might have. All I ask is that you play the part for one day." After a long pause, James had nodded. "All right, Emma Matthews. I'll marry you." Now, standing in the cathedral, Emma wondered if she had made a terrible mistake. James looked so out of place among the wealthy guests in their designer suits and expensive jewelry. His simple white shirt and dark pants were clean but clearly not tailored. Yet somehow he carried himself with a quiet dignity that commanded respect. The priest began the ceremony, his voice echoing in the sacred space. Emma's hands shook as she held her bouquet of white roses and baby's breath. She glanced at James, expecting to see nervousness or regret in his expression. Instead, she found him watching her with gentle concern. "Are you okay?" he whispered so softly that only she could hear. Emma nodded, surprised by his thoughtfulness. This was supposed to be a business transaction, yet James was treating her with more care than her real fiancé ever had when it came time for the vows. Emma had prepared generic words about partnership and commitment, but as she looked into James's eyes, she found herself speaking from the heart. "I promise to respect you," she said, her voice steady despite her racing pulse. "To treat you with kindness and to honor this agreement between us." James's response surprised her. Instead of the formal words she expected, he spoke with quiet sincerity. "I promise to protect you, Emma, to stand by your side through whatever comes, and to never let you face anything alone." The way he said her name sent warmth spreading through her chest. There was something about James that made her feel safe, protected in a way she had never experienced before. After the ceremony, the reception continued as planned. Emma watched James navigate the crowd of wealthy guests with surprising ease. He spoke little, but when he did, his words were thoughtful and intelligent. Several guests commented on his quiet strength and good manners. "Where did you find him?" Emma's cousin Sarah whispered during dinner. "He's nothing like Richard, but there's something about him ... Emma found herself studying her new husband throughout the evening. The way he helped elderly guests to their seats. How he listened intently when people spoke to him. The gentle way he had helped her with her train when she nearly tripped on the church steps. As the evening wound down, Emma's father pulled her aside. "He's not what I expected," he said gruffly, "but he treats you better than Richard ever did." When the last guest had departed, Emma and James found themselves alone in the cathedral's garden. The moon cast silver light across the stone paths, and the air was sweet with the scent of jasmine. "Thank you," Emma said quietly, "for today, for helping me avoid the humiliation of a cancelled wedding." James was quiet for a long moment. "Emma, there's something I need to tell you." Her heart sank. Here it comes, she thought. He's going to ask for more money or reveal some terrible secret. "I'm not actually poor," James said softly. "My full name is James Sullivan Worthington. I'm the heir to Worthington Industries." Emma stared at him in shock. Worthington Industries was one of the largest corporations in the country, even bigger than her father's company. "I was in that cafe because I needed to think," James continued. "My board wants me to marry for business reasons, just like your family wanted for you. I was tired of being treated like a commodity instead of a person. Why didn't you tell me?" James smiled, and Emma's heart skipped a beat. "Because for the first time in my life, someone chose me for who I am, not what I own. You saw a man in simple clothes and decided I was worth taking a chance on." Emma felt tears prick her eyes. "So what happens now? Now we get to know each other." "Really know each other? No family expectations, no business arrangements, just us." James reached out and gently took her hand. "I know this started as a practical arrangement, but I'd like to see if it could become something more, if you're willing." Emma looked at their joined hands, then up at James's hopeful face. For the first time in her life, she felt truly free to choose her own path. "I'd like that very much," she whispered as they walked back toward the cathedral together. Emma realized that sometimes the most unexpected beginnings could lead to the most beautiful endings. Her engagement had been cancelled, and she had randomly married a man she barely knew. But in doing so, she had found something she never expected to find. The possibility of real love. The moonlight followed them as they stepped into their uncertain but promising future, hand in hand.